Good day. My name is Brian Smith, and I'm going for my mobile gaming masters at Full Sail University. And I created a game called Tic Tac Toe Blitz in Android Studio. Really good game, plays a mean game of tic tac toe. But the really cool thing about it is that ties are for losers. So normally in tic tac toe, if you figure out how to play the game, what you can do is you can never lose. The best you can hope to is win, and often you just draw. But with tic tac toe blitz, you're timed, and so the faster you go, the person who has the average moves in the least amount of seconds wins draws, and even against the computer, which is quite a formidable player. So I took that game that was in Android Studio, and the assignment was to port it over to a different IDE, or integrated development environment. So I decided to use Unity. So I'm going to take you through the first blush here, just a run through of the game itself. So I'm going to share my screen. There, sharing the screen, and then bring up the Tic Tac Toe Blitz. So this is as is running in Android Studio. So just a quick introduction to the game. You got a human versus human play, human versus computer. Computer versus computer was really just to kind of test the AI. I decided not to port to that feature. And then a toggle for the difficulty level. Easy difficulty is just random moves by the computer. Medium is a greedy algorithm. So it can win some games, but it's not that incredibly smart. And the hard is the mini-max, and so that's impossible. You cannot beat the computer, so you got to go as fast as you can. And oh, by the way, when you go really fast, you make mistakes with tic-tac-toe, which is the fun part of tic-tac-toe blitz. My wife and I play it all the time. Okay, so just human versus human. You make your moves, and it's basically timed, and you kind of just work your way through here. And oh, somebody just won outright, and player 01 outright. But take a look, we also keep track of the seconds per move, and so if it's a tie game, then you would win that game. So anyway, I'm not going to take you through all the details here. Computer versus computer. So you make your move, and the computer thinks, and then you make your other moves. And so here we are playing against the computer and trying to beat the computer, because we know we're going to tie. But the computer only took 1.6 seconds per move, and the puny human, took 2.1 seconds. So the player O, the computer, wins the draw, because draws are for losers. So you don't want to lose in a draw there. So that's basically how the game plays. And so now the thing about, I want to take you through just a really quick introduction into the Android Studio and some of the coding that was there. So Android Studio breaks things up into, if you want different screens, these are really different activities. So I've got the main activity, which is the main screen for the main menu. And you can see the buttons that I'm waiting for here. And then on click, so this is when those buttons are actually pressed, what exactly am I going to be doing? So then be sending things over to this main activity, which is where the game actually plays, and base surface is the part with all the logic in it for how to play tic-tac-toe. So it's got a lot of variables at the beginning, and then I'm just scrolling through here. It is, Java code after Java code after Java code. Here's some of the minimax algorithm in there, some heuristics. Here's the score heuristics, and so it's just, again, algorithms, all sorts of fun stuff to actually make that game work. Okay, so the next thing I wanted, so in the idea of porting, I knew right ahead, I've never ported a Java program from Android Studio anyplace else, and I'm just starting to get used to Unity, so I didn't really know how long this was going to take me. So the first thing I did over in Unity was to basically create the canvases. So what I wanted to do was just be able to get around realizing that the activities in Android, the equivalent of that is a canvas in Unity. And so what I did is, instead of just porting directly, in other words, copying and pasting, I decided to create in Unity a brand new user interface. So with brand new buttons, brand new everything, of course, like this tic-tac-toe blitz here, that's just a JPEG that I copied over. So I borrowed things, but I made brand new buttons and brand new interfaces to those buttons. So that took me about half a day. just to kind of set up the Unity environment with the three screens, the main screen, the game screen, and then a third screen for the win-lose kind of information, and to get that working. So that was the first thing I did. Then the second thing I did is I just copied and pasted the Java code. And so basically, I'm just going to kind of reproduce this a little bit here. So I just created a new C# script over here in Unity, and we'll go back over to Control A, Control C, go back over to Android, grab all the Java code, and then right after here, just paste in all the code. And wow, look at that. Look at all that beautiful, beautiful red over here. And that's indicating there's a tad bit of syntax errors. And so really it was nothing more than about half a day of going through and just fixing all the syntax errors. All this import for Java, we don't need that, so we can just delete that. And we got rid of a whole bunch of syntax errors. Booleans are bools, so just a little syntax thing is that, yeah, Boolean is bool in C#. So that was easy enough to do a kind of change like that and replace all, and now um, things will start working better. So this public class here, we don't need this. So we can get rid of that. Finals are constants. So anytime we see the word final, that really is just a constant. So like I said, just going through and changing things kind of one little syntax at a time um, as we're going through here. Strings are, again, well, not again, but strings are literals in C#, and so just a lowercase s. And you can see you just can change all those bitmaps. They are implemented differently. So anyway, sound is implemented differently. So I just went through and just fixed things as I needed to. When it's took a look down here in terms of this beautiful blue area down here, you can see the blue here. Look at all that big chunk of code that's working. Of course, the strings, it's easy enough to change that. String like that and replace all. And we can fix all those things. And oh, the string equals, you got to change that too, the syntax there. So anyway, half a day just fixing, identifying all the different kinds of syntax errors and just fixing them, changing some of the Java code. There's, the Java libraries for mathematics are very particular. The string handling in Java is a little bit different. Java is strings are a class in Java rather than a literal. So it's just some differences, little differences. And again, I just had to go through and fix all that red. Let me get out of here. I'm going to close this. I'm not going to save it. And back to Unity, and I really don't want to mess things up, so I'm going to delete that. So that was quite a process there. But so that largely at the end of the first day, I was able to, I could, at the end of the first half day, I was able to move from screen to screen. End of the first day, I was able to play the human versus human and get that working. So I actually played with my wife and got the human versus human game working. And so then the second day was more work with that. So let me just take you through the gameplay and show you that it's working here. And in fact, I'll just build it. Get a fresh build. And then I'll take you through the lessons learned after that. So again, this is just going to be a quick demonstration of the gameplay. All right. Tic Tac Toe Blitz, where it draws for user. So just a little bit simplified user interface. Human versus human plays as expected. So you got your X's, O's, and there's, oh, here we'll have that. And their O is going to win outright, right? So there's the seconds per move, but wins outright. Back to the main menu, we play with human versus computer. The medium level, again, is just the one where it's a greedy algorithm. So there's the human, and the computer wants to get all those greedy kinds of things, but it makes critical mistakes, right? For kind of it's one of the tricks in tic-tac-toe, but anyway, the computer's not so smart. But If you go to the hard level, computer versus computer. So I click on this, computer thinks in terms of the Minimax, and this is going to be playing a game where you cannot beat the computer. You just got to go as quick as you can, and the computer beat me by about a quarter of a second. So there's the gameplay. So plays pretty similar to the Android Studio. Like I said, I got rid of the computer versus computer kind of maneuvers. So lessons learned. One thing is that Java and the C# are syntactically fairly similar. So once I change things like the Booleans and the strings and two-dimensional arrays in Java, you've got the open close bracket, where in C# it is a open bracket, then a comma, close bracket for a two-dimensional array. So, relatively simple things like that. So once you fix those, the Minimax algorithm, which is probably one of the most complex chunks of code in that Tic Tac Toe Blitz, ran fine. Right? It just ran simply fine. In fact, I even it wasn't a bug, but I made use of some other features that I had not turned on. So I actually even made some improvements in the Tic Tac Toe Blitz for the Unity side of that. So anyway, fairly similar in syntax. Android Studio, it's got the activities and the update cycle for refreshing the screen is different. And so porting that over to Unity's with the mono behavior, again, very, very different with that. And so it really was not a port. It was, let me build this in Unity, the user interface and the mono behavior, and let me take advantage of Unity's cycle there and really just adapt that for the Tic Tac Toe Blitz rather than porting. For sure, it was a very unique thing to build that in Unity. As I mentioned, the user interface is different. Buttons are buttons, but the way you handle buttons, the way the button events happen, is different in Unity versus very different than Android Studio. So that was just a create it new in Unity and make it work that way. Sound is different. The graphics are the same. Sound is the same. It's just MP3s or WAV files or whatever you want to use. But to evoke the sound, to get the sound to happen, that was different. So it took a little bit of time to do that. And then the other is the Android Studio. The asynchronous tasks is very different about how to, if you're executing things outside of the normal cycle. Android Studio has you doing asynchronous tasks, and in Unity with its mono behavior, which is kind of the normal cycle. If you want to operate outside of that, you're using coroutines. I had to build some coroutines to make things work properly there. So that was, new code that had to be written. So just as a summary, those are really the big things as part of the porting of this application from one IDE to the other. It was, I had no clue how long it was going to take, getting started. But once I started getting into it, probably after the first half day when I had built kind of the shell of Unity and I was starting to port over to Android, and when I got that working, it was like grand. So like I said, it was 1 day's worth of work, and I was playing the human versus human against my wife at night and figuring, okay, this is good because the code's all there. The human versus computer is going to be quick. It wasn't as quick as I thought it would be. There's really no bugs in the code, but it was all the little tweaks and little things, getting sound to work and all the things, and in fact, exactly the Unity's coroutines, the equivalent of the asynchronous tasks in Android Studio. That took me a while to get working too. So the second day was really just kind of making sure that the computer versus computer works, little tweaks to it, but then really most of it was just cleaning things up. So it was not pretty, but functional, and there were other issues that I needed to fix in terms of timing issues, and this would happen first and second, so fix that. So little things like that in terms of the runtime behavior of Unity versus Android. But after I solved all those problems, then everything works pretty good. So that's it. If you have any questions, please ask me. And otherwise, I'm going to stop my sharing and stop the recording. So thank you very much for listening, and have a great day.